Okay, everybody, so let's get restarted for our final afternoon session, this roundtable on the prospects and perils of quantification, national and global forced labour estimates and the Sustainable Development Goals. So really this session is about, what are the benefits of quantification, about having kind of headline numbers around modern slavery, forced labour, and then also some of the challenges around both producing those numbers, but then also the challenges that may occur around what we then do with them, whether they actually represent a meaningful reality or not.
What's the size of the problem we're talking about? Are we talking about, a few tens of thousands of people, or are we talking about millions? Essentially, these are the last global estimates from 2012, 20.9 million people in forced labour. The majority then, 90%, is forced labour happening at the hands of private individuals, companies and supply chains in the informal economy. That it's a global problem, that no region is spared. It happens in rich countries, poor countries, emerging economies. We know what the definition is. It's work or service exacted under the menace of a penalty for which the person has not offered themselves voluntarily. We do need numbers now, and we need our numbers to be. We need numbers both to understand the problem, or both as part of understanding the problem, as part of, as key to targeting our resources, like where resources should be directed, but also in evaluating how effective are the responses in terms of policies, programs, whatever.
There's a belief in a large part of the modern world that the only things that matter are the quantifiable ones. How do you quantify the level of contempt that one person can have for another human being that allows them to calmly contemplate working them to death? Non-quantifiable questions about non-rational issues are at the heart of the practice of slavery. Anyone who's done any reading in social sciences will be aware of the sort of profound insight that quantitative methods can provide, but it needs particularly skilled and focused researchers gifted with exceptional acuity in the framing of questions. Increased qualitative research is more vitally required for the understanding of the root causes of slavery. The ending of slavery has always been and remains a political challenge. The technocratic approach to slavery, which is dominating some parts of the philanthropic discourse at the moment, seems to me to be at the moment leading to fixation upon a search for a menu of technical options, including how to count people, which only require money to be plugged in order to achieve change. The struggle that the Helots, the Dalits, the migrants and the outcasts continues. And unless we properly understand that, irrespective of what we try to do or how we try to do it, we are fated to become part of that most accursed community in human history, the well-meaning.
Quote, mysterious, inconsistently applied methodology, a raft of unverified assumptions, and multiple critical errors of fact and logic. But the problem here are not technical, right? They're fundamentally about the objectives of the GSI and the potential impacts of the GSI. So very differently than the ILO estimate, it's not just higher, it's a very different estimate. It's used to rank countries. It's used to rank national governments. And I don't think, what I'll lead up to at the end basically is, I don't think it's legitimate to do so based on the extrapolations that they use. So within this comes in the Global Slavery Index. And it's all about measurement. And it's in particular about ranking. So what is it, its premise, what does it do? It ranks countries according to government policy, according to vulnerability to slavery, and according to prevalence of slavery. And this ranking of national governments was a decision that shaped the methodology. And I question this aim. So the authors argue that only national governments can institute certain policies, but they're not only ranked on their response, they are ranked on the prevalence. This suggests that it's national governments that not only should respond to the problem, but national governments that created the problem effectively. Not corporations, not former colonial powers who helped shape the current socioeconomic structures of these countries, not foreign governments who invaded these countries, not the multilateral bodies who shaped the trade regime and the aid regime. Those are not the actors being ranked in the Global Slavery Index.
This unprecedented interest in constructing a dividing line between extremely poor but tolerable and absolutely intolerable labour relations. That's sort of, really ongoing. And the resulting discourses, obviously, they have a really profound effect on the terms in which I'm going to talk about unfree labour as a sort of unifying category without wanting to conflate things. But the way that unfreedom is then understood in media and policy and advocacy and lay understandings. And lots of people have amplified that the discourses around abolitionism and rescue and criminality, that they have come to dominate alongside this related quest for certainty, and this certainty expressed through numbers. But what they're doing is they're playing catch up, because the terms of the debate are sort of increasingly being crystallized without major input from these more nuanced accounts that are sort of both underlying and also coming out of these more nuanced micro studies in particular places.